So, yeah, good evening and welcome to the second Gopher live news podcast thingy without a name yet. Someone suggested GNR or GNN, Gopher News Network, but someone thought Gopher News Radio, GNR. There were several options. But then I think I sort of feel like if it was GNR, I would need an old black and white style kind of intro video. And my animation skill, I don't have any animation skills, so that would be like completely and utterly useless. What? Just? That was a subscription, wasn't it? Yes, so thank you for the resub. Quarico's starting the timer. See, Quarico's timing us so we don't go over the hour, guys. So let's deal with the topics of the day or the week. What has been in the news this week? Let's hope it's nothing to do with Fallout 76, right? Fallout 76? Nothing happened this week, right? Nothing's happened since they announced the Fallout first, right? So yeah, so absolutely everybody was staggered and shocked and surprised that everything with the Fallout first went wrong. So yeah. The thing that's getting to me about the Fallout first thing, about the subscriptions, is not the fact that it all went to crap and wasn't working as intended. I'd say at this point that is pretty much par for the course. That is what we expect from Bethesda. They just do not have their polite way of putting this. They're out of their depth in this multiplayer realm. Shall we leave it there? And so yes, lots of things went wrong, and indeed, people were actually I shouldn't laugh. People were losing scrap that they were putting in this container that they had actually paid actual real money for, and so there was a bit of complaining. And then I heard there was a bit of a war, a civil war going on amongst Fallout 76 players, with players who do not like the subscription fee seeking out those who have paid for the subscription and giving them grief, which I definitely do not condone. Do not grief other players, it's terrible. But it was also ever so slightly funny in all the worst ways that I'm embarrassed to admit I found a little amusing. But you shouldn't do it. Don't grief people. It's not good, okay? But the thing that just has sort of got me this week about all the commentary I was listening to from like other YouTubers was this constant need for people to call these private servers. They kept saying, yes, so they've unveiled private servers. These private servers do this. These private servers do that. And it was sort of beginning to annoy me because they're not private servers. They are not private servers. And the reason this is important to me, this is not me just being funny about what we call it, because honestly, I'm okay with us using different terms for things as long as we don't get confused. And what I worry about when people start calling these things private servers is people start to expect too much from them. And I've already seen it. I've already seen people saying things like, oh, well, maybe these things will become good when they're moddable. And I'm like, no, I don't think they're going to be moddable. They're not private servers. They're private worlds. So it's just really worrying me that people are raising their expectations. I mean, the fact that people are raising their expectations with Fallout 76 is stunning, but they do seem to be assuming that these things are in fact servers in a traditional sense. Now, I've seen people say, well, they are technically servers. They spawn some Amazon server thing that pops up and you all go in and play. And I don't want to get into the whole discussion of what constitutes a server and what doesn't constitute a server, because it's probably one of those things where we could argue about it till doomsday. What I will say about servers is, generally speaking, whenever you talk about a server, and I think most people think of something that is persistent. It is semi-permanent. By that I mean it doesn't go away when you stop using it. Somebody has said misleading marketing. No, that is the thing. You cannot accuse Bethesda of misleading marketing precisely, because they didn't say it was private servers. You could say it was misleading marketing because they knew people would fill in the blanks. They would sort of say 2 + 2 = 5. You could argue they knew people would make that mistake, I suppose, so that might constitute misleading. But yeah, so anyway, there is a sort of semi-permanence to servers. For example, I have a Minecraft server. It is a standalone box. It is an actual separate machine, and it is a server. And everyone can leave the server and it's still there. It doesn't sort of go away. I have a website which is a virtual server, which means there is quite possibly 500 virtual servers, and they're all sat on one server, or more specifically, one server farm. But it's persistent. My website stays there. My server stays there. In fact, I can actually take my web server down, so the website's down, but I still have the server. It is still there. The thing with the private worlds for Fallout 76 is they get spawned and I think they disappear. They're what I would traditionally call an instance. If you think of your WoW days or whatever MMORPG you played, you would have a server. And that would be where all of you and your friends would meet, and you'd pass hundreds of other people. And that server would always be there unless it was down for maintenance. But if you went and did a raid boss, you'd enter into a cave or some zone, and there'd be just you and 23 other people, and it would be an instance. And a bunch of other people could go off and do the same thing, and they'd be in a different instance, right? It only exists for this little phase. That is actually important, in my opinion. That is important because these, if you say a private server, when people were sort of saying, we want private servers so we can mod them, so we can play alone, so that we can change the settings, people were talking about servers in the traditional sense. People were talking about being able to have a little place where they and their friends could go and be alone, ignore everyone else, do their own thing, and maybe change a few settings and maybe have mods. There is a sort of permanence to the idea, This is not the case with the private worlds. I said on Twitter, if a private server is like owning a house or owning an apartment, the private worlds in Fallout 76 are more like renting a table at a cafeteria or, being in Starbucks and having a table. It's your table for the duration of the meal, but once you go, they clear the table, if the next people are lucky, and a bunch of new people sit down at that table. You don't leave anything on that table. Whereas with a private server, a private apartment, for example, you'd leave all your stuff there, knowing you could leave the house, come back, and all your stuff would be there. So, why is this an important distinction? Because some people will say, right, but, realistically, when I'm playing, there's no difference. Without this permanence, I do not believe you gain very much beyond having a privacy setting. If it's just an instance and it gets spawned the exact same way as a public instance gets spawned, and you join it the exact same way as you join a public instance, you join your private instance the exact same way as the public instance, the only difference is everyone who comes with you is on your friends list, then it doesn't really have many other advantages beyond being able to say it's friends only. For example, one of the great advantages to having a private server, say in Minecraft, is we can whitelist people. We can decide who comes in. It's not just everyone who's on my friends list. We can decide. And with Fallout 76, maybe you've got a friends list that's 200 people, but you only actually want 7 or 8 people in your private server. You can't do that. That is not something you have the option to do. Most private servers in these types of games have a localized save. So you join the private server and you have a character that's different on the public server. This would be essential if you were to ever get mods. For reasons that I think are pretty obvious, you cannot have a modded server. At least, you can't have a server that's modded in the way that we think of modded with regards Bethesda Game Studios games, with what I think a lot of people are hoping will happen to Fallout 76, which is to get a lot of brilliant mods that add tons of gameplay. That is just not possible without a local save. You can't have mods that change the gameplay. So, I just wish people would stop calling them private servers. It's a pet, well, it's not a pet peeve. I worry that people are making mistakes in their expectations. And I've seen it. I've seen so many people, oh, well, I don't know why they bother even charging this until it's moddable or until we can block off a certain bunch of friends. And why can't my friends play on my server when I'm not there? If I disconnect, I don't want my friends to get disconnected from my server. And again, they're talking like they've got this permanent world, permanent place, and they've not. It is a privacy setting. If you've ever played Warframe, if you've ever played any game like that, it's pretty much just the option to set private friends only. In fact, it's not even as advanced as Warframe, because Warframe has invite only. They've sold such a crock of valueless manure. It just does not deserve the word server. So that's my kind of rant out of the way there. That is my rant towards it. Now, I'm going to say something that I think people have heard me say before. I do not think Fallout 76 is going to get modding the way a lot of people think it's going to get modding. I said this a year ago. I said I just did not see this game getting the sort of modding people were hoping for. And people were saying, oh, well, it could get modding like Minecraft. I do not see that happening. I do not see that happening. Oh, it's going to get modding like Rust. I do not see that happening. It's going to get modding like Fallout 4. No, it's not. I do not see this happening for a variety of reasons. And this private worlds hammers home my conviction that we're not going to see modding the way we're expecting modding. I mean, will we get some UI mods? Will we get some texture mods? Maybe. But are we going to get mods where it can add whole new quests and whole new NPCs and overhaul the game? I just do not see it happening. I do not see it happening. The only way I could imagine that to happen is if you had client-server software, and it never seemed likely to me that was going to be the case, that they were going to allow you to have the server software and you run it on your own server at home. I mean, to be honest with you, even if they did that, I don't think it's going to have the mods, because I really don't think there's going to be the same level of community support for that game as there is their other games. I don't see it, but then I'm not a believer in Fallout 76. I'm not a believer in Fallout 76. So I've never believed that this game really has what is required to motivate the community. But from a technical point of view, I just don't see how it's going to happen. There are so many questions I have. So many questions regarding how it would even work, especially since, let's face it, it is going to be little instance servers that they spawn. So let's ask the question, can those be modded? Because I know some people are going to be saying, well, technically, why can't you mod those? You just have an instance, it gets spawned, you have a list of the mods that you want installed on it, and it installs, and it sets up those mods automatically, and there you've got your modded server. There is nothing impossible about what I just said, but there are 1,000 obstacles to that. 1,000 obstacles to that, not the least of which is that would require Bethesda to curate which mods it allows. It would have to curate them. Because it'd have to make sure they work, and it would have to sort of make sure they work together. You can say, I'll have that mod, that mod, that mod, then they spawn the server and it crashes. What happens if that has a knock-on effect and crashes every other server, or does something even worse? And you know it would. You know it would. You know they would get that wrong, and something utterly catastrophic would happen. So they would need to curate it, and then they would need to spawn it with mods, and then you'd have to have the portion of the mods that you need installed at your end, because there might be some parts of it that are required at your end. And I think whatever mods you would have on this sort of a server setup would be very, very limited. Very, very limited. And even then, when they rolled that out, I will call it now. If they ever roll out actual mods, those mods will be limited, and when they roll it out, the whole thing will be an utter crap show. Okay? I'm calling it. If they curate this stuff, they're not going to curate it for free. They're not going to curate mods for free. This was one of the big problems with paid mods back on Steam, and this is one of the reasons we ended up with the Creation Club. They were trying to find a way to monetize the modding community, and we got the Creation Club, which is not mods but rather official DLC that is curated. And of course, you're paying for it. So I'm not seeing a pathway to modded servers that doesn't involve Bethesda. Yeah, I mean, charging even more money. And then these are not even mods, because then they're going to appear on the Atom market. They'll appear on the Atom market. Some people have been saying, well, they'll add the Creation Club. And my first thought would be, why would they add the Creation Club? They've already got the Creation Club. It's called the Atom market. But then I was thinking, maybe they would add a second microtransaction shop, just so people said, okay, well, they did honour their deal to bring mods. I don't know why they would do that, because it's not as if people would go, oh, bravo, bravo, yes, you brought modding to Fallout 76. No, everyone would go bonkers, because you've now got 2 microtransaction stores with premium content for sale. Everyone would go bonkers, so I don't see why they would do that. But honestly, at the moment, I've given up saying they couldn't be that stupid. I've given up saying that, because at the moment, I almost feel like they do it to prove me wrong. So they might try and get away from the bad press of the Atom store, not that the Creation Club is... No, it wouldn't. No, here's the thing. Here's what I will tell you, Wolfclaw, right now. If they tried to do the Creation Club because they thought it would get away from the bad press of the Atom store, they are utterly deluded, because the Atom store is the Creation Club, and they renamed it to get away from the bad press of the Creation Club. They've already done it one way, and it kind of worked. A lot of people just did not notice it. A lot of people did not notice. I saw people day one go, oh, I bet the Creation Club's going to come pretty soon after release. And I'm like, day one. Day one. It will be there on day one. Atom market. For them to redo it and do it the other way, I'd be so... I'd be like, I don't know. If Fallout 76 gets a second microtransaction store, people are going to meme Bethesda for eternity. In fact, it goes beyond memeing. They would become a meme of a meme. There would be memeception. There would be memeception. So I'm just not seeing how they get there. Modded servers with these private worlds. I'm not seeing it. At least not in a way where the Bethesda Game Studios modding community would recognise the mods. And not even the way, say, the Minecraft modding community would recognise mods either. I am not seeing it. I'm sorry. I'm not a believer. I'm not convinced it's going to happen. if we get mods for Fallout 76, I think it's going to be very, very, very limited indeed. And I wouldn't be too surprised if what we get instead are private world only content sold on the Atom Store. That's what I would say is a possibility, but I don't even know why they would do that, to be honest. At the moment, why even have private server only content? Because that would be the only difference we're talking about. If they have to curate it, it would be private server only official DLC, i.e. Atom Market stuff just flagged as private server. So yeah. So there you go. I wish people would stop calling the private world servers. I don't think they deserve that term. If you want to argue on some technicality that they are servers, okay. They are certainly not what the community wanted servers for. They are not what people were asking for, and they are certainly not worth spending any money on whatsoever, because I do not see them as, being a replacement for the microtransaction store. I said that last time. The only reason I would consider a private server for a game like that is if I could mod the game freely and thus undo any damage that the microtransaction store had added. I'm not seeing that happening. So there you go. I'm quite happy now to never speak of Fallout 76 again. I really am. I went back and I looked at the announcement because of Fallout First, and it confirmed everything I've said for a while. I'm not expecting private servers with mods. If they come, I think they'll be so far away, they'll be limited, and I think it'll be a disaster, because everything that with regards to Fallout 76 is a disaster. I don't want to sound too negative, but it's just I've got no interest in the game, really. I've got no interest in the game. The PR around it's been an absolute joke, and the execution has been just jaw-droppingly ridiculous. So, can we put it to rest? Can we kill it? Can we put a stake through the heart of it and say, yes, it may still be out there. People may still be playing it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Okay? Thank you. Next piece of news then, let's talk about the Outer Worlds, yeah? Because I'm guessing this is, are you going to play it, Gopher, is going to be one of the questions. And the answer is, yes, I'm already playing it. I've started like what you might think of being the 5th episode or something, if I'm judging by the amount of footage I've got. I'm getting used to it. I'm getting accustomed to it, but that's mostly because I've been tweaking the game like mad. I now have, I don't know how many. Oh God, I'll tell you what. Let's see if I can show you the. I have now added a whole bunch of settings. I've removed motion blur. I've removed something called the tone mapper grain quantization. God, not going to try and say that again. I've added another command to disable the chromatic aberration, because someone else said this one should be used instead of this one, but actually I think they both do the same thing. And seeing as some of these settings were supposed to be in a section called Script Engine Render Settings, I decided to add every single one of those settings there as well, so they're in 2 places, mostly because I don't think it harms anything. I think it won't break anything, so I've just got all of these commands in one place just to make sure. Let's enable the chat as well here. Once I'm happy with the ini file, could I please upload it? No, you don't want to use other people's ini files on these. What you want to do is change them yourselves, really. Well, actually, that's not true. Maybe that one could work. Maybe that one could work, the engine one. But anyway, so I've disabled all those, and I still found my eyes getting tired. I wasn't getting a headache, but I was getting tired. I've now dropped the settings, the visual settings, the post-processing ones, from very high to high, and I found it a lot more pleasant on my eyes. I don't know if that's changed some other setting or whether I'm just getting used to it. I think bloom was the other thing that was bothering me. I think the bloom in the game was really giving me some problems. If I get any more tiredness in the eyes, what I might do is drop it to medium or even low on the post-processing settings. They just seem to be a little aggressive, a little over the top. So that's probably what I'm going to do. However, I can tell you now, I'm definitely going to be playing through it. I will be uploading the episodes. I'm already beginning to enjoy the game in spite of having, some problems the first day or so. I am tweaking one of the other ini files because the UI is a little in your face, the heads-up display. They've got some options. You can turn off some of the floating damage things, which I turned off instantly. But the user interface, the heads-up display, it's just too busy for me. It's just all over the place. So I'm slowly disabling things as I discover I do not need them. So that will take some time. Beyond that, I don't honestly think there's anything else I need to say about The Outer Worlds. It's looking to be a good game. I'm enjoying the dialogue. The combat's pretty solid. I wouldn't say it was anything to write home about, but I'm enjoying it. And yeah, just wait and see, I guess. So, the other piece of news this week is something I really only glanced at, but I see Kingdom Come Deliverance have released some modding tools. Now, I've not had any time to delve into them, so I probably can't give you much information as to what can be done with this, but I did see signs that you could add dialogue and quests and perhaps even create areas. I'm not 100% sure how that would work, but it looks like you can mod a fair amount. I'm not 100% sure how quests would work because you'd need to do voice lines for Henry as well. I tell you what, if you can make quests in this new tool and do a really good job of them, and you find a voice actor who can actually mimic Henry, if there's a voice actor out there who can actually mimic Henry and he's willing to donate his work for free, he's going to be a really popular voice asset for the modding community. So that's kind of what we need, because it is one of those games where you have a defined character, defined voice, and, a voiced and faced protagonist, which I don't mind, to be honest. Inconvenience horses coming. Yeah, I do not know to what extent you can modify the game. There's already quite a few mods for it, a lot of UI mods and, some small things. But if they've released full tools and they've released some tutorials, if I get time, I really would like to have a look at them and see what is possible. And, I would love someone else to fill the void in my heart that has been left by Bethesda apparently disappearing off into the distance, taking themselves in a totally different direction. It's nice to see The Outer Worlds and see an RPG of that nature, but it's probably not going to be that moddable. So if Kingdom Come Deliverance could start adding loads of new quests and, you can have tons of mods and change lots of things, I'm all in. Yes, I am. So, yeah, I saw they've actually released a lot of stuff. So, yeah, look, you guys know, I'm already a big fan of Kingdom Come Deliverance. massive fan of that game. I think it was bold. I think it was really well done. I think the writing was great. I just, overall, I've got very little to say about that game that's not good. The only two parts of that game that really kind of irked me were the save snaps and the head bob. And luckily, modding came to the rescue. So yeah, love the game. Love the fact that it's getting better mod support. KCD is not your kind of game. You're hoping modding can fix that. I'm not 100% sure. It depends on why it's not your type of game. If it's the combat or the fact that it's very, very involved and, you know, compared to a lot of fantasy RPGs, I don't think modding's going to change that much. Kingdom Come Deliverance appears way less approachable and open to big mods than Bethesda games. More or less every game is less approachable and open to big mods like Bethesda games, because Bethesda games they're uniquely well set up for the modding community to just go nuts. Even The Witcher 3, which does have modding tools and has a modding community, it's just not as well set up. I have to say, the instant you get a voice protagonist, the instant you get a protagonist with a face and you get that, you know, third-person dialogue thing, you automatically start reducing the potential for modding right there, because it's not just about having an open world. Having an open world is great, but Bethesda doesn't just have an open world. It has an open character system, an open character system. You can play pretty much whatever you want. There's everything about, you know, the Elder Scrolls games is open and ready to be modded. There's a lot of things in, you know, this is one of the big problems with Fallout 4, though, with the voice protagonist. Luckily, you can sort of get around that a little. But games like KCD, games like Witcher 3, they're so heavily wrapped up in this character, in Henry or in Geralt, that it's a little harder for the modding community to do what they do for Bethesda games. It's kind of one of those cases where the strengths of those games are kind of what stops, or doesn't stop, but doesn't gel quite as well with the modding community as, say, a Bethesda game. You know, and their strengths are this sort of very personal feeling, these strong stories where you are very invested in the main character who has a lot of backstory. It's very tightly bound around his look, his voice, and his past. That does restrict things. It's inevitable that it will. It can't help but restrict it. Bethesda don't have that strength, if you want to call it that, because it's a different game. It's a very open game. I hesitate to call it a strength. It is a strength in The Witcher 3. It is a strength in KCD, but it's not necessarily something that belongs in every single game. It's kind of like saying, oh, the visceral combat in Doom is one of its strengths, and then saying, therefore, that type of combat should have been in The Witcher 3. No, just because something's a strength doesn't mean it should be everywhere. And I think for Bethesda games, I don't want them to have that particular strength, because I want their games to be so open that I can write my own story, and this also allows the modding community to step in and create their own thing as well. It gels better with it. So there you go. If Kingdom Come Deliverance had made it more open and allowed character creation, it would have been your perfect game. Maybe, but I'm not totally sure it could have done that. That's just the way the game was. I think the problem is you say it would have been your perfect game. It would have been a totally different game. I don't know. I sort of feel like that's saying if you could have played Witcher 3 not as Geralt of Rivia, it would have been your perfect game. And then I have to wonder, it's just there's so much wrapped up in those characters in the game that without them, a lot of the things that are strong about that game just disappear. without Henry, a lot of what made that game great would have disappeared. It would have been a lot harder for them to tell that story, you see. So I don't know. So I think in a way, it's almost like what you're saying is, if it had been a totally different game, it would have been a better game for me, which is perfectly acceptable. It is perfectly acceptable. So, yeah, no, I've not actually seen the new Witcher Netflix trailer, but I believe there is a bath scene, which has made a lot of people happy. I've not actually weighed in much on the whole Witcher Netflix series. I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. I'm going to watch it. And I'm going to watch the internet very carefully to see which side of the internet melts down. I was curious when watching all of the Witcher game fans melt down because the TV series is inspired by the book, so they were criticizing it for not looking like the game and instead looking like the books. And I found that a little amusing, especially since they should have expected that due to the fact that the book author was involved. But it is going to be amusing to see how that battle continues, because it is amazing how both sides take themselves so very seriously, and get so very outraged when either the game doesn't conform to the book perfectly or when the TV series doesn't conform to the game seriously. So I shall be watching it, and if I enjoy it, I shall be enjoying it. And as a side issue, enjoying the drama. If there is any. There might not be any. Everyone might love it. It might have something in there for everyone. But, you know, we'll just have to see. Red Dead Redemption 2 is out on PC on the 5th. Yes, I am aware of that, and I am looking forward to checking it out once I finished The Outer Worlds, probably. This is not the sort of game I would play at the same time as The Outer Worlds, so I'm going to be playing The Outer Worlds, and once I've done that, I may have to also catch up a little bit on Skyrim. It depends. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to approach the Let's Play situation for the next few months, seeing as there are some games I really do want to play, like Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Outer Worlds. And of course there is Skyrim. Chapter 5 is complete. Chapter 6 is well and truly started, actually. I've made a lot of ground on Chapter 6. And I wanted to do that so that I was free to just play The Outer Worlds as much as I liked without having to necessarily worry that that would be the only thing I had to post. So I've got quite a lot of Skyrim ready. I don't actually know how I'm going to be uploading. At the moment, I'm uploading 4 a week on Skyrim. I think what's going to happen is tomorrow I'm going to upload episode 1 of The Outer Worlds, and then the day after Skyrim, and then the day after that Outer Worlds. That will be 5 videos this week, and I may continue that 5 videos a week. I haven't decided yet, and I haven't decided which will be 3 and which will be 2. A lot of that's going to depend very much on how far ahead I get in the Outer Worlds. I always like to have a few episodes of each series ahead to take up a buffer, so I'm not that far into Outer Worlds. So I think it'll be 2 episodes of Outer Worlds this week. It might be 3 Skyrim and 2 Outer Worlds next week. There may, when I get to the end of the Skyrim chapter, it may switch a little bit and then be Outer Worlds for a while, and then I'll start injecting Skyrim again. So I haven't quite decided how I'm doing the timetable. And the reason for that is pretty simple. 6 videos a week has been somewhat stressful and also a bit busy on the timetable. I actually feel like I don't have a lot of space for other videos on my channel because I've got all these Let's Plays. So having 4 videos the last couple of weeks has meant I could just add videos whenever I felt like it. I got a video about settings. I'll put that video about settings. I want to make a comment about such and such a thing. I can do it, and I can just upload it, and that'll be that day's video. Or maybe there'll be the odd day where there's 2 videos. But when it was 6 videos, it was a little harder. I felt like I was swamping the channel too much, because it's not good for your channel. It is actually not good for your channel if you hit your subscribers with too many videos. So, do I care about Death Stranding? Not really. Isn't that PlayStation only? Isn't that a PlayStation only game? So, yeah, I don't know. Oh, it is coming to PC. Then, depending on the reviews it gets, will I take a look at it? I might. So, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, if it gets really good reviews that make sense to me as well, I don't want to... It was made by a genius, so therefore it's good. I actually want people to play it and go, it's actually good. So... It's exclusive for the PlayStation at the moment. Right, yeah. Steam's new interface. What do I think about Steam's new interface? It looks like the same as the old interface. So, okay. That's a nice looking gun. I like that. Oh, the library. The library. Whoa. Whoa. What do I think of it? It's... Hello. Introducing modding tools. Is this news? Is this new? Okay. Right. First things first. I'm an old man, okay? So I'm so very old school that whenever I see massive amounts of pictures and colour, I instantly go, kids today, right? Because, I'm used to Steam being lists of text with tons more text and lots of other text. That's how Nexus mods used to be. When Nexus mods changed from walls of text to actually having pictures and images and graphics and stuff, everyone did the same thing. Everyone was like, oh my god, no, this is terrible. This is terrible. But I'm having that moment. I'm having a whoa, there's pictures everywhere, right? However, that is me just being old and change, kill it. So let me absorb it for a second. What would normally happen if I had the library open? It would probably just have whatever my first game was selected, right? So let's choose... Ooh, Bad Rats. Okay, no, let's not choose Bad Rats. Let's choose Bioshock. I really want to play Bioshock and Bioshock 2 and Bioshock Infinite. I have these games, played half of that one, none of that one, none of this one. I want to have time to play these games. I really want to play. I've got so many games I want to play. I got bloody loads of them. I've got so many games. It's so very annoying. It really is. Let's go with Doom. Let's see. Doom. Yeah, no, I'm not happy at the moment. I'm trying to be happy. Store page, community page. This is the... Mind you, all right. Okay. Let me put this another way. What used to be here? When I clicked on this thing on the library, what used to be here? Wasn't it just a bunch of text? I never actually looked at this page. Never really cared about this page. Honestly, it was better. Right, but why? Why was it better? Why was it better? Yes, but orderly text. Right, but was it text you ever read? Because here's what I'm thinking right now. The only thing I ever did on the library page was right-click and go to one of these. I never looked at anything else. Ever. Achievements, friends, nope. Didn't look at achievements, don't care about achievements, but if I wanted to look at achievements, they're there, right? Friends, if I want to see friends who are playing it, I never do, never care, but I could see it there. What else then? What else do you do? It was for checking if it was updated. All right. Can I find out if it's been updated? That's the... Would it be the community hub? Blech. Yeah, I don't think I ever did this anyway. To be honest with you, you're asking the wrong person. No. It has more wasted vertical space, better use of horizontal space. Maybe, but like, this is something I never used. I'm not going to get outraged that they've changed something I never used, okay? Not going to do it. Because I never used this. This, I mean, it just looks like a ton of pictures and information for me that I'm like, all right, don't care. Am I allowed to not care? Am I allowed to not care? No, I'm not going to look at on Google what it looked like. You know why? Because the very fact that I can't really remember it means I don't really care. Yeah. Have they changed anything else? You can... Quadico says, I can quite happily get outraged about something I rarely used. Age has privileges. Is any of this changing? Has it... The store. Let's go to the store. Has the store changed? F1 2019. I really do want to get myself a driving wheel and play an F1 game. But I've already got 1 gazillion games in my library that I've never played. Am I allowed to not care, guys? Can I not care, please? Just pretty please. Can I just say, meh, don't care? I can only rant about something if it gets on my nerves. And it's actually remarkably hard to get on my nerves. I know I play the cranky, grumpy old men type thing. I know whenever I'm playing in Let's Plays, I pick holes in the strangest things and get slightly irked by this, that, and the other. But it's more humorous ire than it is actual outrage. I could mock some change way easier than being upset about it. I'm just such... I just... like, it's like Fallout 76. I'm not outraged by it. I'm not upset by it. I'm not angry about it. I'm like shaking my head in disbelief and also amused by it all at the same time. And I know I'm supposed to care about things like this because it's technically like, because it's my livelihood, it's important. But I'm like, I'm just, I get, what, do you know what offends me? Mindless stupidity. So when people do things that are stupid, I get really bothered by it because I want to grab them and go, why? Why do you... Well, I used to do a lot of cycling. And I'd be cycling home and some douche nozzle would come flying past in his car and he'd sort of get to the side of me. And then he'd start turning, even though he could see I was there, he'd start turning and force me to almost emergency brake because you know, he wanted to turn. But he'd get to the turning without indicating either. So I had no advance warning that he was going to do this. And then he'd turn, and as he was turning, he'd flick the indicator on. And then, as he was turning, halfway through the turn, stick the indicator on, and then off he goes. And I felt like chasing him down, like just sort of, you know, drive to the next set of lights and drag him out of the car and scream, why did you put the indicator on? Not why did you run me over? Why did you come close to killing me? I know why you came close to killing me. Because you don't care about anyone else. You're a self-centered git and you just wanted to turn and don't care, right? I get that. I'm okay with that. I'm not even angry about that. But why did you put the bloody indicator on? Why? I don't get it. Because it's like you're halfway round trust me, at this point, I know you're turning. I can see you turning. Your car is halfway around the bloody corner. I know what's going on. The indicator doesn't add any information. Why did you do it? It's like, things like that bug me. Things like that they get on my nerves because I want an answer. Or if I'm walking down the street and there's 3 people and they're all walking side by side and I'm trying to like move a little bit sideways so I'm a bit thinner, and then they're just not paying any attention and they walk into me, and one of them walks into me and like bounces off and then looks at me like, look where you're going. And I'm like, and I want to grab him and go, what were you expecting me to do? I'm just, the thinnest I am is sideways. I move sideways, so I'm you just literally cannot, and then I stop before you hit me. You walk into me because you're talking to your friend, and then you look at me after you've walked into me, just things like that drive me nuts. Things like that drive me nuts. Which probably seem insignificant to most people, but it's just because I kind of need an explanation for it. That's what it is. I need an explanation for it. Which is why when these companies do these things they do, like, oh, we're going to release, this game with loot boxes and microtransactions, and it's gonna be crap and it's gonna be annoying. I don't get as annoyed by it actually, because I kind of know why they're doing it. The ones that might irk me are where they do something thinking it's going to make them tons of money, and I want to go, how could you think that was going to work? How did you think that was a good idea? How did you sit down in a board meeting and think, ooh, yeah, this will make us loads of cash? I'm less offended by the fact that they tried to find ways to fleece us of our money, and more offended by the fact that they thought it was a good idea. That's just the sort of person I am. So, yeah. Don't cry for the stupid. You'll be crying all day. Yep, well, that's how it goes, isn't it, really? And that in the end is the answer I always come up with. Because they just had a brain fart. They were stupid. And I wouldn't even say it's because they are stupid. Because one of the things I've realised is everyone can be stupid. Everyone has moments when they're stupid. And that applies to me too. There must be a load of times I've done something where someone's gone, why did he do that? And the answer is, because I wasn't paying attention. Wasn't paying attention, or my brain was somewhere else, or I just had a brain fart. It happens. And life's a lot easier to take once you realise that and say, yeah, okay. Every now and again, someone's going to do something stupid. The problem is, there's a lot of people. And that just means there's a lot of stupid. And we are primed to notice it, which is a shame. Because all around the people being occasionally stupid, there's people being perfectly decent, perfectly intelligent, perfectly wonderful. And we never notice it. Because it's not noteworthy. It's a bit depressing, really, isn't it? And on that note, we're done, ladies and gentlemen. So, the motto of today's podcast is stop focusing on the stupid and start paying attention to all of the great things people do and we take for granted. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you guys next week for more news that's not really news.